All right, let's jump right into this breakdown. Today, we're not just skimming the surface. We're doing a deep, analytical dive into a framework that fundamentally reimagines how we actually build and scale digital services. If you're a developer, an architect, or a founder, you already know the drill. Writing the core logic of your app is honestly usually the easy part. The real friction, it's all that surrounding infrastructure. So we're going to unpack a project called Numidia and analyze their framework for a unified digital economy that's built specifically for developers like us. Okay, let's dive into this. Think about your last few development cycles. Every single time you spin up a new project, what happens? You've got to build a payment gateway. You have to invent some custom digital currency or loyalty point system. We've all been there, right? Staring at a monitor at 2 a.m., just miserably trying to debug a custom ledger system that simply refuses to balance. And then, just when you finally get all that plumbing to work, you face the absolute nightmare of launching to an empty room, starting from literal zero. It takes a massive amount of resources that, frankly, you should be spending on refining your actual core product. Which brings us to Section 1, the Continuous Developer Challenge, and the exhausting reality of building digital economies from absolute zero. So, the traditional model usually means building the whole shebang entirely from scratch. We know the headaches here. Sky-high development costs, agonizingly slow time to market, and of course, starting with zero users. But this source material introduces a totally alternative paradigm through Numidia and its native currency, NMD. By integrating NMD, the whole dynamic shifts. You're suddenly getting ready-made infrastructure, incredibly fast deployment, and crucially, instant access to a pre-existing user base. It's basically the difference between trying to bootstrap a tiny economy on an isolated island versus just plugging directly into a living, breathing network. Moving on to Section 2, the Numidia ecosystem. One currency, limitless applications. Let's look at what this currency, NMD, actually does inside your application. The framework outlines some seriously versatile utility here. Instead of banging your head against the wall trying to brainstorm a catchy new token name and writing complex, custom smart contracts for every single project you launch, you just embed NMD. Think about the user journey for a second. Within your app, they can seamlessly make a payment, kick off a recurring subscription, buy a digital sword in your game, earn loyalty rewards, or even drop a tip or donation. And it all functions through this one native layer. You completely bypass the heavy lifting of building those monetary mechanics from the ground up. And that brings us to Section 3, technical tools to save effort. We're talking flexible SDKs and APIs for rapid integration. And this brilliantly illustrates how a shared economy sounds great in theory, but as builders, we need to know how the plumbing actually works under the hood. Numidia provides the software development kits and APIs designed specifically to make integrating this currency totally frictionless. You can execute payments, receive funds, manage user wallets, and verify transactions securely, all without building those beastly backend systems yourself. But here's the really important detail highlighted in the framework. While Numidia handles all that infrastructure, you retain absolute freedom to design your app's unique economic model. You dictate the rules of your own environment. Everyone just operates using the same trusted currency. Let's look at how this builds into something much larger than just the code. Section 4, the power of interconnected community and the incredible symbiosis of apps and users. Listen, if you take away just one concept from this whole explainer, let it be this: the Numidia network effect. We talked earlier about how the absolute hardest part of any startup is finding users, right? Well, the framework argues that Numidia isn't just handing you technical tools. It's literally handing you a community through a symbiotic relationship. When you plug your new app into the ecosystem, you instantly add a brand new use case to the NMD currency. You make the whole ecosystem stronger. In return, your app gets immediately placed right in front of Numedia's pre-existing user base. It's an instant discoverability boost that transforms your relationship with the platform from a basic transaction into a true, powerful integration. So the crucial point is perfectly captured in this quote straight from the source text. The value of any ecosystem is not just measured by the number of apps, but by their interconnectedness and integration. Right? It's not just about hoarding a massive number of isolated apps in some digital store. It's about how well those applications actually talk to each other. Building a cohesive environment where the sum is exponentially greater than its parts, all thanks to that shared foundation and user base. This philosophy leads us directly to the ultimate vision outlined in the text: a unified digital future, building a seamless economy for absolutely everyone. Let's look at this from the end user's perspective for a second. The text lays out a super simple three-step experience aimed at eliminating friction. Step 1, the user logs in with a single unified account. Step 2, they operate using just one currency, NMD. And Step 3, they move seamlessly between entirely different apps and services. Just imagine the sheer lack of friction here. Instead of forcing users to create multiple accounts, juggle dozens of passwords, or manage entirely disjointed digital wallets for every single service they use, this framework is proposing an incredibly smooth, fluid journey across a massive network of applications. The source material issues a really clear invitation to developers here. Be part of this architecture right from the beginning. It argues that every new app that joins doesn't just add another standalone service, it actively helps build a comprehensive digital economy rooted in collaboration and actual sustainable growth. For anyone out there with a big idea, the text is framing Numidia as a foundation designed from the ground up for expansion and connection. Which leaves me with a final question for you. What will you build in this new unified digital economy? Just imagine the mental bandwidth and the capital you're going to free up when you no longer have to architect the underlying economic infrastructure all by yourself, when you don't have to fight tooth and nail for your first 10 users because you've already tapped into a living network. The tools and the unified currency are all right here in this framework. The only question left is, what are you going to create with it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep building.